So next on our panelist will be Brian Cooke, who is the program officer, works with Project Go, language training centers in the Institute of International Education, the IIE.
Great, thank you, Sophie, and thank you to the University of Wisconsin-Madison for having me today. As Sophie said, my name is Brian Cooke. I'm a program officer at the Institute of International Education, or IIE, working on Project Global Officer, or Project Go. I apologize, this slide is a little bit text heavy. Project Go is a DoD initiative aimed at improving the language skills, regional expertise, and international communication skills of future military officers. It is sponsored by the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, or DELENCIA, which is the same organization that Kaveri works for, who you just heard from, and administered by IIE. We also administer the Language Flagship and the Bourne Awards. I know you've heard about both of those as well. Project Go provides institutional grants to U.S. universities and colleges with large ROTC enrollments, and in turn, these institutions provide language and culture training scholarships to ROTC students from across the nation. The Project Go program model is intensive language programs, both domestic and overseas, primarily in the summer, and these programs cater to beginners through advanced learners. I think I'm here today speaking with you on the assumption, or perhaps in the hope, that some of you are ROTC students, or perhaps have participated in a Project Go program, or are interested in joining ROTC at some point in your college careers. So here's the program footprint for Project Go. The countries in orange are the countries in which we have programming. Obviously, you can see the United States there. We do host some domestic programs, but the primary focus of the overall program is on overseas study. I would point out, you can see that neither Russia nor China are highlighted. Currently for Project Go, Chinese language programs are located in Taiwan, and you can study Russian in Latvia, Estonia, or Kyrgyzstan. To date, over 6,000 ROTC students have received a Project Go scholarship. I should also mention Project Go scholarships are fully funded, meaning there's no expense to the student to participate in the program outside of whatever personal expenses you might have while on a program traveling overseas. So to talk about the career outlook for a Project Go program alumni. So Project Go students eventually commission as officers in the Army, Air Force, Navy, or Marine Corps. You typically go through your initial military training pipeline, meaning to be an infantry officer, a pilot, an intelligence officer, logistics officer, something like that. And then it would have many opportunities to utilize the language and culture skills that you would have acquired in Project Go. Probably the best known program here is the Foreign Area Officer Program, or being a FAO, who are regional experts in assigned languages. They act as strategic advisors to the combatant commanders of geographic combatant commands up at the 4-star level, or act as advisors to ambassadors and US embassies. You'd have the opportunity to utilize your language and culture skills in operational deployments to any of the combatant command areas of responsibility, advisory missions, or perhaps if you go the National Guard route through the National Guard State Partnership Program, which pairs National Guard units with military units in other countries. We find that a lot of our alumni do go into military intelligence, and then some even into special operations, meaning Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Marine Special Operations, etc. There's also the Air Force Language Enabled Airman Program, or LEAP, which is a career-long career coding that identifies you as a language specialist. It makes you available or eligible for special language required billets in the Air Force. And then, of course, there are post-service opportunities in government, business, law, education, the nonprofit sector, essentially many of the opportunities that Kaveri talked about near the end of her presentation. I want to take this opportunity to talk about some career advising webinars that Project Go is going to host for ROTC students coming up in the next couple of months. On August 27th, we're hosting a webinar centered around Air Force LEAP, that language enabled airman program. This webinar is for Air Force students at any university across the country, and you'll hear from the Air Force Culture and Language Center, along with active duty Air Force officers. On September 15th, we'll have a military career advising and foreign area officer webinar. This is open to all ROTC students around the country who are interested in learning about language and culture opportunities and career fields in the services. And we will have active duty FAOs who will present. And then finally, on September 29th, we will have a Project Go alumni panel in which we will hear from several Project Go alumni who are currently on active duty as commissioned officers and hear about how they've been able to take their Project Go experiences and use them in their military service. This next slide has a number of great quotes from Project Go alumni talking about how they've been able to utilize their Project Go experience. I think my favorite one is the one at the top right from an Air Force second lieutenant who studied in Taiwan and learned Chinese and was designated a subject matter expert by his squadron commander in the Air Force, so that he, as a young second lieutenant, would be able to provide Chinese subject matter expertise to his unit. If you have any questions or want to learn more about Project Go, please go to rotcprojectgo.org or email us at rotc@iie.org. And with that, thank you very much. I'll conclude and look forward to your questions at the end.